Scrappy Peeps, it's Suzanna here today for Elle Studio, and it's reveal day. I am featuring a lot of these add-ons from the September kit. I am using the kit, but most of this layout here is actually the add-ons. So I have taken this month's digital cut file right there, and I have amended it. So there are hearts that cascade in different sizes, but I decided I wanted to have flappable hearts. So I spent a long time playing with this so that I could fold the hearts in half. I would offer to share this with you, but because it's a purchased item, unless you're a subscriber, I can't really do that, and I can't figure out a way of saying, you know, yes, you paid for the file, so here's the amended file for you. So it's something you can play with and an idea of how you can amend your cut files. So what I want to do is I want to back the opening of each of these files with something. Some of the things I'm going to use, actually all of the things I'm going to use are from the new paper stack. It is the Autumn Days 6x8.5 paper stack. What I'm surrounding that with, that was a 3x4 card from the kit. I always feel like when I work on white cardstock, if I don't have a header or a footer or something, I personally, this is just me and my design principles, feel like things need to be grounded and I need something on an edge. And so what I did was I ripped I actually cut it, but I will go in later and I will rip it. And I'm going to put that on either side. And I just feel like that grounds the layout and it doesn't just sort of flow off the edges. There's a beginning and an end to it. And now, so I've already designed with this kit and I have scraps of the pattern paper. So I'm using scraps to back the halves of the hearts from the digital cut file that I amended. I am going with a rather fall-ish color palette. You see that I have there photos. It's my husband giving me a kiss kind of over his shoulder. And I have printed it in color and I've printed it in black and white. I really like the emotion in the black and white photo, but I liked the look of the color photo on the paper, especially because of the white background and the large amount of white space that's in there. And so I will go with here you'll see me use the black and white photo because that's the one that I really wanted to use. That's the one I intended to use. But once I looked at it when I wasn't filming, I'm going to switch that to the color photo. And so the reason that I chose these papers and these colors with this particular photo is because the papers complemented the color, not that I intended to use the colored photo, but also because to me, this is very fall-y, and to me, fall is a time of gratitude and Thanksgiving and introspection, really, because when you think about the things that you're grateful for, you think about the things to really kind of process what it is that you're thankful for. And so I wanted to reflect that thoughtfulness through the colors. That's why this particular color palette, not that anybody would ever know that, but now you do. And so I'm going to mix through this color palette these fall-y type colors into this. So I've got red, yellow, orange, and I'm going to use that wood grain as well as the teal. And then I'm going to pull in a darker brown through some felt, and you'll see that coming up. Something else I am going to tell you that I do off camera. Again, I feel like I have a different perspective when I'm off camera. And so I will hand stitch a few of the fold outs of the white on the hearts. I really like the look, but I felt like you couldn't really tell that some of them were you couldn't tell that it was always hearts. And so I will just use a brown pen and go in and put in some faux hand stitching there. So this month you have two stamp sets available to you. You have the My Heart stamp and a coordinating My Heart metal die. I absolutely love these dies. I am going to use them forever and ever and ever. I'm going to get tons of use of them. I love the faux stitching. I also love that it creates both a negative and a positive. I'm not a card maker, so that positive is hard for the negative, I should say, the part that's stuck. So when you pull a card, the bit out. So these felt bits that I'm cutting here, I'm going to call those the positives because you positively remove them, and then the negative is what's left behind. It leaves a stitched negative heart, and I absolutely love that, but I haven't figured out how to incorporate that into a 12 by 12 page yet. I've done it actually on some watercolor, but that's still not going to, somehow I have to incorporate a smaller piece into the whole 12 by 12 layout. I'm thinking that's going to be on a 3 by 4 card, but I'm going to play with that. So come back and be sure to check in with me and see how I actually incorporate that in. So originally when I had put these striped strips that are 3 by 4 cards, I had put it dark to light. I have this thing, again, this is just my personal preference, that I tend to like things to go from dark at the bottom of my pages to light to the top of my pages. And so I switched them around, and you can see where I like the softness of the torn edges with the white showing through. That kind of helps provide that transition as it melds from the solid into the white there. So also this month available are these stitched heart wood veneers. There's 2 wood veneers available. You have home, it just says home with a heart in it, and I will use that on another layout. And then you have these wood heart veneers, and they go perfectly with this fall feel. I feel like. I also like the way that it just pulls more hearts into the page, and speaks to my heart with the journaling and the story that I'm telling here. So I'm going to use the stamp that coordinates with the dies that I've already used from my heart stamp. You can have hearts that are solid hearts, and then you can have some faux stitched hearts, and I'm going to use the faux stitched hearts here in 3 different colors, just to complete the other part of the hearts that are folded over. So I'm only going to stamp half of the heart, but to complete the whole heart there. I am shuffling around these brown felts because where I decide to stamp has changed where they're going to go, and I want them to be in a visual triangle. They're very dark, and I don't want them to provide too much depth or darkness in one spot. I want them to be that visual triangle because there is so much busyness that kind of grounds the page and moves your eye around the page there. So as I rearrange things on my page, I'm going to rearrange those 3 felt hearts. They were super easy to cut. As you could see, I did that on camera using my Sizzix, my manual die cut machine there. These stamps I have not used yet, so when stamps are new, I like to off stamp them several times, just because there's something about the manufacturer process that leaves, I think, a chemical or a film on them, and they don't stamp as crisply. It's not as crisply, but they don't stamp with as much density of color. They don't hold the ink as well, and so I off stamp them a couple times before I stamp them. It's also, I've often found a good thing to off stamp them several times too, because especially with the words, I've found that sometimes I stamp upside down if I don't stamp the right stamp them as well. So I've used a couple of the phrases from the My Heart stamp set throughout the page. Lots of love, filled with joy, just things. They're sort of like subtitles, little phrases that complement the story and the journaling that I'm going to tell here. I am going to use the second stamp set here. That is going to help. It's actually going to provide the subtitle to the title of this page. But in the meantime, I'm going to commit to all of these things, and I am going to go ahead and lay them down and adhere them. With felt, I like to use my liquid adhesive. Same thing with the wood veneer. I just feel like I get a much stronger bond, and so I'm using ThermoWeb Ultra Bond here. It comes in a bottle. You don't need to put it in a different bottle with a fine tip. You do need to pay for the fine tip for that, but it's super cheap to be able to get that from ThermoWeb. Let's see. So really the only bits from the kit that I've used here are that journal card that's next to the photo, the journal card that I tore, there's the stripes on either side, and then I'm going to use a couple of punch outs here right now. What I'm putting on, this is from they're the Autumn Rainbow Puffy Stickers. So yay, there's another set of puffy stickers that have come out that are rainbows. These have a little bit more fall color to them. I'm going to use 2 of those because they complement the page, and I've found the ones that use the same colors that I've used in this collection. This here from this release is the This Is Us stickers. Again, there's lots of phrases that are scattered throughout this, but you don't really see them as phrases unless you get up really close to it, and they are really just support embellishments to the story. So I've used blessed and then happy, again in complementary colors to the colors that I've used on the page. That is one of the chipboard stickers. It's the only piece of the chipboard from Cozy Chipboard that I use that says love this, and it's white, it's tone on tone, but because it's crossing over that red, you can see that it's there. So these stamps here are called the Grateful stamp set. So there's a whole bunch of phrases. The phrase that I'm going to use here says good times together with you. And then I'm going to use some puffy stickers from a previous release underneath it in the pink. And so I don't really have a whole lot of that peachy pink. I'll call it a salmony pink in this. In fact, the only piece is going to be an important, it's one of the die cuts, it says important, that I will put on off camera, and that complements the peach that is in the layout. But what I like about that peachy pink, that salmon, is that it matches the skin tones in the colored photo that I use, and so that's how I draw that color into it. I believe it's also in the rainbow stickers. So my title here is Present Not Perfect, and that's what the journaling is about. And that's part of what I'm grateful for, is that through our trials in our marriage, we have learned and we have succeeded in the past 2 years to be present in our relationship, in our marriage, and our relationship, because it's more than just a marriage. We have the relationship with our children, our relationship with each other, and so that is what this is about. Is, you know, sometimes I think we strive to be perfect, and you can't always do that. Sometimes just being there for one another is more than enough. So I didn't have enough P's to do that. So I took an R, that's what I was doing, and I lopped off the leg of the R to create a P. And you really can't tell that that's what I did when you look at it. And so just showing you how you can get a little more length out of those letters if you have leftover letters and need something to substitute. They are absolutely cuttable. So this is my first layout with the September kit. I hope you enjoyed this process video. If you have any questions about Elle's Studio or anything that I've done, please don't hesitate to leave them in the box down below. Enjoy the close-ups, and I look forward to seeing what you create with your September kits. Thanks for stopping in today. Take care.